In the next 25 minutes, I'm gonna walk you through exactly how to book loads step by step, even if you've never done it before. Now, not to flex or anything, but I made $1.4 million just last year dispatching trucks for other carriers. And again, I'm not just telling you that to show off or anything. I'm just trying to show you that I know what I'm talking about and that I've done the work. I promise you, by the end of this video, you will be making more money. Okay, it's as simple as that. Now, one quick warning before we just jump in. I originally made this video for other dispatchers like me, but if you're a trucker or an owner-operator, everything still applies, okay? You're going to learn exactly how to book loads for yourself, so you never have to pay a dispatcher like me to do it for you. So, without wasting any more time, let's just jump in and talk about the most important part when it comes to booking a load, which is the psychology. Now, most people, most dispatchers or truckers, they think that booking loads is all about chasing the highest rate, the highest number on a load board. In all honesty, it's really not. If you have that mindset, if you're still stuck in that mindset, that is the exact reason what's going to keep you broke, okay, for you truckers and for you dispatchers. Now, I know that sounds a little confusing, a little counterintuitive, but let me explain. If the average spot rate right now is at $3 per mile, but you're sitting there on the load board, you keep refreshing the load board, and you're waiting around for $4 per mile just because some guy on TikTok said that, that's what he booked his load for, well, you've already lost the plot. The reason that I say that is such a dumb idea is because you fundamentally don't understand what trucking is, okay? Trucking is a commoditized business. That means rates are set by supply and demand, not by your personality, not by your negotiation skills, and not even by your reputation. The only thing that matters in trucking when it comes to load rates is supply and demand of a specific market. Trucking is not like other industries. Let's say, for example, like car manufacturers. In car manufacturing, there's certain brands like Honda and Toyota that are making brand new cars for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, and they're super successful. And then on the flip side, there's also car manufacturers like Porsche, like, Lamborghini, Ferrari, that are making cars for hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions of dollars. And they're also super successful. In a normal industry, you can have a bunch of different businesses that target different demographics of customers, and you can charge a different price for the level of service or product that you provide. But again, in trucking, you cannot do that because trucking is commoditized. That means a solo owner-operator with a dry van semi-truck, that same person, that solo owner-operator, he can pick up the exact same load as a trucking company with thousands of semi-trucks, just like Swift. Both of these businesses can pick up the exact same load and charge the exact same price, but obviously the only difference comes into play is the trucking capacity, but we're not gonna dive too deep into that. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is that you can't beat the spot market just through your negotiation skills, okay? That's just never going to happen. And even if you do somehow end up booking a load that almost seems too good to be true, chances are that load is gonna take you straight into a backhaul market like Florida, where you'll be lucky to even find $1 per mile to get out of that market. The point that I'm trying to make is that you need to change your psychology when it comes to booking loads. You can't just think about booking the highest rate possible because you're just gonna end up burning yourself, okay? There's so many other details that you need to keep in mind when booking loads. You've gotta think about where the load is gonna drop you off, how much does it weigh, are there tolls along the route, is it a flat or a hilly area, so you need to think about the terrain. You need to know all these little details. So instead of just aiming for high-paying loads, which could literally mean anything depending on who you ask, I actually filter every single load through these 3 filters that I call FPM, okay? It stands for fit, profit, and market. Now let's jump into fit so I can explain what that is. When it comes to fit, you just have to ask yourself the question, does this load actually match what my driver wants, what my carrier wants? So where's this load going? When does it pick up? How long is it going to run for? You should be asking yourself all these questions because some of the drivers that you work with, some of the carriers that you work with, they want to avoid certain states like New York or California. Some of them don't want to drive at night. Some of them want to be home every single day. And if you start to ignore their preferences just because the rate looks really good, you might think that you're doing them a favor, okay? That you did them a huge solid and you got them a load, that's what they care about most. But in all honesty, you're making a big mistake. You're just gonna end up losing a really good driver or a really good carrier. And trust me, I've been dispatching for over 10 years now. I'm running a 7-figure company, and there's still one thing that rings true to this day, and that is drivers know more than you, okay? Truckers know more about what works best for them than you do. Because think about it, as a truck dispatcher, you probably only need to spend $500 or $600 per month to make around $20,000 to $30,000 per month. Okay, that's just facts. Whereas a trucker, an owner-operator, they're spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on fuel, on insurance, on driver pay, on tires, maintenance, repairs. They have so much more overhead. So for them, this game of trucking, it means a lot more. They have to be a lot more detailed. They have to know what works best for their equipment more than you do. They just can't afford to make the same mistakes that you can as a dispatcher. And if they tell you, hey, I don't want to go to Colorado, let's say for example, it's not because they're lazy, it's because they know that they have older equipment, their gas mileage is going to suffer because it's a hilly area, and the load is just not going to be worth it for them. The amount of money that you're offering them, it's not going to cover their wear and tear, their fuel mileage that is going to increase. Again, they have insight into all these little details. So respect that and take their preferences into account. Okay, so that's filter number one, which is fit. The second filter is profit. So ask yourself, is this load actually profitable? And again, on paper, $3.50 per mile for a load, it sounds great until you start to factor in things like 200 miles of deadhead, there's 2 stops, there's a layover with this load, there's tolls along the route. All those little things are going to start to add up, okay? And if you don't know your carrier's numbers, you literally have no idea what high paying even means. So that's why before you book any load, it has to pass the profit filter, okay? So in order to do that, you need to figure out your cost per mile, and you can use a calculator to do that. Super simple. I'm gonna show you how to do that in just a few minutes. Anyways, that is the second filter. The third and final filter is market. So where's this load taking you? And what happens after that? So if this load is going to dump you into a backhaul market where there's no outbound freight, well, now you've got a massive problem, okay? You either have 2 options in this scenario. You have to take a cheap load out of there, or you're going to have to deadhead somewhere else and pick up a load from a new market. Both of those options are going to cost your carrier a ton of money. That's why before you book a load, you need to understand the market that you're heading into. Okay, so what is the supply and demand balance? Is it a head haul or a back haul market? Will you need to triangulate haul your way out of there? Again, if you're not thinking about your trip on average and you're only thinking about the single load that you're covering, well, you're not running an actual business. I'm sorry. So yeah. The point I'm trying to make is stop booking based on rate alone and start booking based on fit, profit, and market, the FPM. Those are the 3 filters that you need to cover. That way you can stop guessing and actually start making money. So that's the psychology of booking a load, but I'm sure you guys are wondering, well, okay, I know what I need to do when booking a load now, but what tools can I use? Okay, what tools am I supposed to use? What am I supposed to avoid? Well, this part is super simple. Trust me, you don't need 20 different apps and be spending like thousands of dollars per month. That is completely overkill. You just need 5 things. I'm being dead serious, okay? This is literally all I used to dispatch up to 20 trucks and make around $50,000 per month in profit doing it. And by the way, if you're an owner operator watching this, you can use all these tools to book your own loads. This is still way more than enough. So let's just break it down. The first and probably the most important tool you need is obviously a load board. DAT is the one that I use. That is my primary load board that my company uses. And honestly, that's what I would recommend for you guys as well. So if you're a semi-truck, if you're running a box truck, cargo vans, whatever type of equipment you're running, it probably has the best paying loads available for you guys. Now, in order to get access to DAT, you do need an MC number now. I believe they made this new change. And obviously, if you're a dispatcher, you're not going to have an MC number. You need to sign a carrier first and have them add you to their account, and then you can reimburse them for the DAT software. And by the way, guys, I recommend getting the $199 per month plan. That way you can get the DAT market conditions, and you also get the tri-haul lane feature included in the software. Both these things are super crucial to finding high paying loads, okay? And by the way, you can use my link to get a little discount code. It's my affiliate link. I'll leave it in the description below. Anyways, the second tool you'll need is called Trucker Calculator. This software, this is what I use to calculate and keep track of the revenue and expenses for my carriers, okay? I need to know if I'm actually making them money and what their CPM is looking like every single week, what their cost per mile is looking like. If you're just eyeballing this stuff, if you're just guessing, well, you're literally gambling with your carrier's business. And if you're an owner-operator, you're gambling with your own business, which is even worse. All you need to do is literally just plug in your expenses. So things like your fuel, insurance, truck note, maintenance, etc., and it will do all the hard work for you. It'll do all the heavy lifting for you. It's going to calculate the profit and the CPM of the carrier for you. Now, with this information, you can then figure out how much to actually charge for a load. You know what your break-even cost is, which is your CPM, and then you can add a margin to the CPM. Let's say, for example, 20%. My carrier wants to make 20% for every single load that we book. So now we have our CPM, which is our break even, and we also have our target rate per mile that we want to book every single load for. Hopefully that kind of made sense. Also, I should mention the good thing about this software is that it's completely free to get started with. If you only have one truck, it's completely free to sign up, so you can do that right now. If you have more than one truck, then I think you can jump on a subscription plan with them. Again, I will leave my affiliate link in the description below. You should get a nice little discount. Moving on, the third tool you'll need is a load tracking sheet. As the name suggests, this is a tool that you're going to use to track every single load, all the details of every single load. So the pickup time, pickup date, pickup location, drop-off time, drop-off date, drop-off location, the rate that you booked it for, any lumper fees, any detention, all the broker information, did they pay you yet? All that good stuff. You're gonna track all these little details inside this tracking sheet that you've built for yourself. Either you can build one yourself for free by going to Google Sheets, or if you don't have one, if you don't think you can build one yourself, I actually give away my own load tracking sheet inside my school community that I have for truck dispatchers. If you want to download mine, you can just go to school.com/guild22 and then go on over to the classroom section, and it's going to be under the dispatch templates. And by the way, since we're talking about it, I'm going to give myself a shameless little plug. If you're brand new to this, if you're a brand new truck dispatcher and you want a full step-by-step guide on how to find carriers, how to book loads, how to start your dispatching business from scratch, I've actually built a completely free truck dispatching course and community called Dispatcher University. Okay, over 8,000 dispatchers, they've already gone through this course. They're getting some crazy results that you can see right here, and it's 100% free. That is the best part. So if you want access to the load tracking sheet and the free course that I have for truck dispatchers, just click the first link in the description below, or again, you can go to school.com/guild22. Anyways, build one yourself, use mine, it doesn't really matter, but you need a load tracking sheet. The fourth tool that you will need is some sort of carrier packet documents, okay? Now, every time you book a load with a brand new broker, they're gonna ask you to fill out a carrier packet. Now, this part, it doesn't need to be super complicated. You just need to save a few documents within a Google Drive folder, or you can just save it on your desktop. It's gonna take you literally 10 seconds. Now, here's what you need to include in this folder as part of your carrier packet. You need to put in your W-9, your MC authority, your certificate of insurance, your notice of assignment if you're working with a factoring company or if your carrier is working with a factoring company, and then maybe even toss in a void check in there. That's it. Nothing else. You don't need to make this super fancy, but you need to have all these documents in one place and easy to access just so you don't risk losing a load with a broker. Okay, so that is the fourth tool. The fifth and final tool that you need is a phone and an email. You can just use what you already have. Again, you don't need anything special. You don't need some sort of like special VoIP number or like a corporate email or something like that. Just make sure that your voicemail is clean and professional, and your email, it doesn't look like spam, okay? Or it doesn't look super unprofessional. If your email right now is xxdragonslayerxx@gmail.com, yeah, you'll probably want to create a separate business email. But again, in all honesty, this part is completely optional. You just need a simple phone number and an email. Just use what you already have. So yeah, that's really about it, guys. That is the entire tech setup, okay? It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. You need to keep everything lean and keep it simple. And if we add up the total of all these tools, the total comes out to less than $300 per month. And again, this is all you need. The more tools that you start to add, the more things that can potentially break, okay? So you need to learn the system first, organize and build a system first that can scale, and then you can start to upgrade later when your constraint becomes your tech that you have. But in the beginning, keep your entire system simple. Speaking of system, let's actually dive into what you guys actually came here for, okay? How to actually book a load. What does my 9-step system look like? So I'm just gonna give you guys my exact step-by-step system that I use to book loads, and each step has one single purpose, and that is to move the load closer to getting booked. That is it. If you skip even a single step, this entire thing is going to break down. So make sure you pay attention. The first and probably the most important step is to calculate your cost per mile. So before you touch the load board, before you do anything, you have to run the numbers. Now, most carriers, they kind of just guess what a good load is. Most dispatchers will just guess what a good load is, but a $2.50 per mile load, that's going to mean nothing if your cost is $2.60 per mile. Okay, that's why you need to start with the cost per mile, figure that out, use the trucker calculator that we just went through, and don't just guess. You need to know exactly how much your carrier is spending on fuel, on insurance, on their truck note, on maintenance, the entire thing. Because what you can track, you can also manage. Okay, you can help the carrier become even more profitable. Now, once you know the break-even CPM, you can then define what is profitable and what's not profitable for your carrier. Okay, so that's step number one. Figure out the CPM. Step number two is you need to do some sort of market analysis. So now that you have a baseline of profitability, now it's time to study the market. What's actually going on in the market? How much revenue can you get your carrier? Now, don't just go searching for random loads in random areas of the United States. That's how amateurs operate. You need to position your truck in a market where demand is high and capacity is low. That is it. The easiest way to find these type of markets is through DAT. Again, if you use the $199 per month plan, it comes with DAT market conditions, and that is a tool that you can use to figure out where these hot market lanes are. This is your entire point of leverage. This is how you command the highest price possible from a broker. It doesn't come through your negotiation skills. It doesn't come through your personality. It doesn't come through your sales pitch. It all comes through your location. You need to be at the right place with the right equipment at the right time in order to book the really high paying loads. Okay, remember that. Anyways, now that you know where you want to go, where the hot markets are, then you can move on to step number 3, which is posting your trucks. Okay, and you can do this on DAT. This is just like putting your truck on the shelf for brokers to find. Think of it like that. So in order to do that, you have to be very accurate. You have to list where the truck is, where it's going, what type of equipment are you running, when it's available. The more information that you provide on these listings, the better offers that you'll get. And by the way, here's a little piece of pro advice for you. If a broker is calling you for a load because they see your truck posted, you can almost guarantee that this is an emergency for them, okay? So you can quite literally name your price and they will most likely give you that load for that price because they don't want to lose their relationship with their shipper, okay? But to be honest, you're only gonna end up finding 5% of your loads through this method. The other 95% will come through the next step, which is searching for loads. This is a step where you go from passively searching for loads to actively searching for loads, okay? Now, this is a step where you can use your filters to look for loads in the hot markets that you identified in step number 2. And again, you have to remember, don't get greedy chasing the really high rates on the load boards. Remember what we talked about earlier, okay? It's not just about the number, it's about the fit, the profit, and the market that you're heading into. Make sure every load passes those 3 filters. Anyways, after you find a load that passes the FPM filter, you can move on to step number 5, where you can actually start to negotiate rates. Now again, I need to make this very clear. This is not where most of the money is made. I think I've made that very clear so far. When it comes to negotiating, you can get an extra $100 here or there on the phone, but it's a very small part of the game. You don't find high-paying loads because you're slick on the phone, okay? You find high-paying loads because you did step number 2 right. Your entire leverage as a truck dispatcher, even as an owner-operator, finding your own loads, your entire point of leverage is the market that you position yourself in. It's not your negotiation skills. So you have to remember that when you're making this call, okay? On this call, you're mainly just trying to ask the right questions, get the details of the load. And also, don't be afraid to walk away if the load doesn't make sense. You don't have to book the load just because you called for it. But if the broker is giving you a really good rate and you agree to pick up the load on the call, then you can move on to step number 6, which is where you send the carrier packet, okay? And the carrier packet is just like the carrier's resume. We've already gone through this. It proves that they're a legitimate trucking company. So in this folder, you're gonna have the W-9, the MC Authority Certificate of Insurance, Notice of Assignment, and maybe a void check. You're gonna have all this information, all these documents saved in a folder on your Google Drive or on your computer so you can send it within 10 seconds. You have to remember, just because you agreed on the phone, nothing is official, okay? Speed matters in this business. So as soon as you can get to the next step, which is the rate confirmation, the better. Speaking of the rate confirmation, that is the 7th step, okay? That is the official contract that you need to get signed with the broker. Nothing is real, nothing is confirmed until the rate confirmation is signed and sent back to the broker. Again, verbal agreements, they don't mean anything in this industry. Until you sign the rate confirmation, nothing is official. So push to get this done as quickly as you can. But before you just sign it and send it back, you need to double check if the pickup time is correct, if the delivery window is correct, if there's any special instructions, any accessorial charges. Check all that information really quickly, make sure it all looks good. And if it does, sign it, send it back, and once that's locked in, that load is officially yours. Now, when you sign the rate confirmation and you send it back to the broker, that's when you can move on to step number 8, which is where you can dispatch the load. So now that the load is booked, you can send all the details to the driver that will be, moving the load. So this is where you can send them the pickup information, the drop-off information, the pickup number, if there is one, where's the address, any phone numbers that they need, any reference numbers. You just send them all the details that they'll need for this load. Now, this is where I see a lot of rookie dispatchers fall apart, and even the rookie owner-operators that are booking for themselves. If you miss even one detail, like on the rate confirmation, if it said that you need a pallet jack or like a TWIC card or something like that, and if your driver isn't aware of that, that load might get rejected at the dock, and guess what? You're not gonna get paid anything. Your driver just drove hundreds of miles for basically nothing. Okay, there's literally nothing you can do. They're not gonna make any single money. You're just gonna lose money. So make sure, again, you're providing all the information to the driver. Now, finally, then you can go on to the last step of my 9-step system, which is where you can invoice the carrier. So once the load is delivered, that's when you get to get paid, all right? Now, if you're a dispatcher, all you need to do is just send the invoice to your carrier. Now, I recommend you guys set a clear billing schedule and just stick to it. I would recommend you do weekly. So every single week you send an invoice to your carrier. Hey, these are the loads that I booked for you. This is how much I'm owed. Like there's my 8%, my 7%, my 10%, whatever you're charging. This is what my invoice is coming out to. Now, there's a big misconception that you need to wait for your carrier to get paid, from the broker or the factoring company or whatever it might be. You don't need to wait for them, okay? You're not factoring the load, they are factoring the load, okay? They're responsible for getting paid from that load. You are responsible for getting paid from the carrier. That's it. So yeah, that's all you need to do to actually start booking high-paying loads step by step. It doesn't need to be any more complicated than this. And if you didn't understand a certain step, if you need more clarification, if you need more help, just reach out to me, comment down below, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys out. Oh, and by the way, YouTube thinks that you're gonna like this video right here, so go watch that next, and also check out my free truck dispatching course in the description below. So yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.